So, Gam, can you give us a quick rundown on what the word recording means, where it came from?
Oh, fuck, I don't have this up anymore. Hang on. Okay, so...
Hold on. Guys, why do they call it
through this
recording? Is there a cording?
Oh, we're just gonna pretend... Okay, let's just pretend that this is like... forget that you heard the last 30 seconds. Oh, hey, we're gonna watch this anime today, and we're going to record it.
Can you cord something? Like...
That wasn't what you said.
God damn it, guys. Okay, everybody listening, go listen to like the first 45 seconds of the commentary. This will all make sense, I promise. But it doesn't right now. We just sound like idiots right now. Well, it'll make more sense than what's happening right now.
So, Gam, go ahead.
So, record... The whole thing was like, oh, why is it called record? Can you chord something? Like, what's it called record if you're doing it for the first time? And I was like, that's a interesting thing. Like, yeah, why is it? Because, like, the prefix of re usually means to do again or something like that. And then it was like, oh, okay. So it comes from an old French word of record to mean remembrance. From recorder means to bring to remembrance. And from the Latin recordare, to remember, based on core, or chord being heart. The noun was earliest used in law to denote the fact that it was written down as evidence. The verb initially meant narrate orally or in writing, also to repeat as so to commit to memory. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then I was like, wait, it means to remember, but can you member something? Why is it called remember? So I was like, okay, well, let's look into that. And then it's like, okay, that comes from the late Latin remimor... Sorry, I'm half asleep. Rememorare, to call to mind. It just means like essentially like a strong mental force of like mindfulness. Essentially, like basically, it just means to remember. Because like the Latin re means expressing intensive force, and then memor is mindful. So like an intense force of mindful is to remember. So that's how that all started. And then we got into an anime that, in my opinion, was vastly less interesting than that entire discussion.
And that's the podcast, everybody. Thank you. We had a great time.
What did we watch, Spooky?
We watched Yuki Yuna is a Hero episodes 1, 9, and 12. So we'll just start with what do you guys think I think of this show?
8.
I think you like it. Wait. Actually, I think you're indifferent towards it.
Okay, and you said 8, dear?
Yeah, like, it's not your favorite thing, but you're like, yeah, I like that sort of thing. It's no Madoka, but, like, I like that thing.
I gave it a 9.
Madoka.
I gave Yuki Yuna a 9. And we'll talk about why I gave Yuki Yuna a 9.
Probably something that happened in the episodes we didn't watch.
Because you have no taste.
Yeah, no, fuck you.
Wow.
No, we'll talk more about it. I mean, there's definitely things in the episodes we didn't watch, but there are big things in the episodes we did watch, also. But anyway, we'll talk about it. But first, let's do, episodes.
Recaps, you mean?
Recaps. I was trying to think of the word...
like a few sentences.
I was trying to think of the word summary, and I couldn't think of it.
Can you cap something?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So, once upon a time, there was a hero fighting a demon lord, but actually it's a puppet show made by small anime girls towards small children, and they knocked the stage over. So to fix everything, they changed the music to try to save the show by being very dramatic. They are all in a club together. The Save the World the redhead and wheelchair girl are headed...
it was a hero club.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever. fine, it's a hero club. Redhead and Wheelchair Girl are headed back to the school club hero room. Everyone else is there and they want to start a meeting about finding owners for kittens. Wheelchair apparently knows how to code, makes a website about the kittens, and then they all go out for udon and they talk about a cultural festival that's coming up over the summer. Then Wheelchair and Redhead go home. Older sister and younger sister are having to deal with like aptitude things, and she's like, I have a secret. But then the next day, back at school, everyone's daydreaming, and then suddenly both Wheelchair and Redhead's phone goes off, and the teacher's like, what the fuck? And then a giant vortex is approaching, and time stops. Aside from the four of them.
The Cortex Vortex is coming!
Yes. And a fucking giant rips in space-time opens up, some rainbow pours out into the world, and after it's done, everything is very gay watercolor. The world around them is very weird, paper-crafty, watercolor, yeah. Everyone's confused, and they're like, we're not dreaming! And then the wind goes all whoosh, and they pull out their phones, and they're like, our screens are different, what the fuck? And then the sisters show up, and their phones also apparently show where everyone in the world is or something. It's got GPS somehow. And then apparently it was a hidden feature on their phones that activated when the shit in the world happened. And it was the app that they downloaded when they first joined the club because older sister was like, hey, download this app if you want to be in the club.
It's like when you activate developer options in your Android phone, when you go and like you tap like you go options and then you scroll down to the bottom where it saes about device. You tap that 10 times and it says developer options. It's exactly the same as that, except it turns you into a fucking magical girl.
We haven't gotten to that spoiler. Wow.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
So, older blonde was in on it the whole time, and then she has a horrible secret that she's kept, and this whole world is like a barrier, and they were chosen to fight the enemies in here, and now there's a huge giant penis monster coming towards them, ready to kill the world, and everyone in this club apparently had a high aptitude because there's an app now that can make them into real-life heroes, which they use. Wheelchair has a panic attack because, you know, she's fucking disabled, and she's like, and then Oldest is like, hey, everyone leave, I got this, and then she magical girl transforms, gets a big ol' sword, and then younger sister is vibing and also turns into a magical girl, and she doesn't really have a weapon, but it's like a ring thing that she gets eventually. And then there's also fairies here to help them out. They all have specific fairies, but also they could just phone call each other and talk. So there's that. And they're like, hey, can you consider transforming? And then at one point, we think that the sisters have died. They haven't. Redhead is very scared, and Wheelchair is like, run away and leave me. I can't do anything. Like, what the fuck? And honestly, mood. And then Redhead is like, okay, actually I'm gonna fucking punch it. And she punches a bullet out of the fucking air. And she has like a glove on now. And then she punches the giant penis a whole bunch and turns into her magical girl self. And there's sakura blossoms everywhere. And that was it, really.
She becomes Glover.
Yeah. She saves the day.
Yeah. So, fun fact, recap is, I learned something today. Recap is an abbreviation to recapitulate from the 1950s. And for you watching, okay, but what is recapitulate? Like, what can you capitulate something? Yes, you can. Which is why the re in recapitulate comes from the late Latin re, meaning again.
Yeah.
So recap is to recapitulate.
So it literally just means again capitulate.
To go through again, essentially, yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, episode 9, Gim.
I jokingly made the whole "the more you know" joke on Twitter today, but like it is really just becoming the more you know.
No, yeah. We're learning a lot about Latin and a lot about the English language.
Mm-hmm.
So, episode 9. I want you to know my notes for episode 9 are the shortest out of all three of them, which makes little sense. So, we start and like everything's depressing. Wheelchair girl and our protagonist is sort of standing there, sort of neutral face, facing like the older blonde sister, and like we see them. It's like, oh wow, things are depressing. It's like, oh man, I'll talk you through my initial thoughts upon seeing the first few frames. Oh wow, this is okay, so we've gone from stark contrast of like they're really happy. So like between these episodes, obviously a lot's happened. Like they've started fighting as these magical girls, and like they've probably made a lot of sacrifices, or like things have happened. They've got like battle scars or something. Like they've probably lost a few things along the way, and then it cuts to a frame, opposite frame because it's shot reverse shot. It cuts to the reverse shot where it's older blonde sister and she's got a fucking eye patch on, and I lost my shit for like 5 minutes just laughing.
Fair.
Where they're talking about, oh, we lost all of this stuff, like you can't see anymore out of that eye, I can't hear out of this ear, I've lost my sense of taste. and oh yeah, by the way, also the small blonde girl who, spoiler, wanted to be a singer and was about to be a singer has lost her voice. These are kind of not very balanced in the things that they've lost here, but the show doesn't seem to really... It probably does in other episodes, but it, like, doesn't... Like, in the scenes that we've seen of it, whenever they bring it up, they don't really talk about the fact that, like, some of them got off a lot lighter than others when it comes to the whole losing things permanently thing. Because we find out, okay, we cut to the small blonde girl who's now, like, writing shit in a piece of paper instead of talking because she can't talk anymore because she lost the voice because Spooky told us that they have some sort of Super Saiyan attack where they have to sacrifice something in order to, you know, power it up or whatever. Which I was like, oh, that's a really neat concept. Like, you know, hey, something to, like, you have to lose something in order to gain. Like, this is a really interesting thing. Sort of having sort of a zero-sum attack. Like, that's a really neat idea. Shame the show kind of doesn't want to commit to it. We cut to the small girl adjusting okay, but it's kind of odd. Like, she's canceling plans with friends, but is still happy. She's like, oh, I can't go with them because they're going to karaoke and I can't sing, so there's no real reason for me to go there. And it's like, she's still really happy, and it's like, why are you happy right now? You should be incredibly depressed. It's like, oh, okay, they thought this was temporary. So it's like, oh, well, we'll get it back eventually. So it's like, I just need to hold on. So the older blonde sister is talking to her sister and is like, hey, how you doing? And then the homeroom teacher comes in and is like, I need to speak to you, older sister, who has now punished Snake because you've got an eye patch. And we kept joking about that constantly. I need to talk to you. Hey, listen, we've tried to adjust to the fact that your sister just can't or doesn't want to speak, but like,
it's really hard.
If we keep it up, like, she'll know that we're adjusting, and like, we don't want to upset anyone, and like, can we just, like, I don't know, not
do this.
Then we cut to the sister being like cooking dinner, and it's like, oh wow, dinner. Hey, dinner's ready, little sister, and little sister's passed out on her desk. So she wakes her up, and little sister's like, okay. And then they have dinner together, and older sister is talking to her, and the little sister just sort of smiling and just nodding. But the older sister's like, kind of like, why aren't you talking, in a sense? But it's like, she can't talk, and it's like, she's content to not talk. Like, she doesn't seem upset by the fact that she can't talk. The older sister's like trying to adjust herself, but she seems upset by it. Like, it's unnatural for her. It's the weirdest thing about it for me is that everyone is like upset about it except the person who should be really upset, or even like minorly upset. But they do a good way of like proving that, like, okay, she's just holding on to the fact that her voice will get better. The older sister's like, oh, like, you should come to rehearsals for the play that we're doing. Like, we can rehearse the play and everything. And the little sister just writes on a note saying, I can't be in a play, bitch. I can't have anything with lines. And the older sister's like, oh, yeah, whoops. And then we cut to older sister, a protagonist, and a black-haired girl all talking back to Depression Town. And black-haired girl's like, look what happens when I try and kill myself. And she tries to kill herself. And the fairies that come from the mobile phone that I don't know if Dia talked about or not.
Yeah.
That seem to be what give them their magical powers or whatever. Gets him the way between a knife and her. And she's like, I can't kill myself. I've tried to commit suicide 10 times today, and nothing worked. They keep stopping me every time. Oh my god. And it's like, what? And then they learn, oh yeah, by the way, the stuff that we sacrificed isn't ever coming back. It's permanent. And they're like, what? Wait, what? I'm gonna lose I can't see out of this eye forever? I can't hear out of this ear forever? I can't taste things forever? Shh. Oh, she said she can't talk forever? We cut to old blonde girl going home, upset and kind of angry because she's like, "Oh man, I feel responsible because I signed them all up for this, and like now they've lost all these permanently. This can't get any worse. Bring, hell." And then I joked. I was like, "Hello, this is a record business. We want to give your sister a record deal," and that's literally what happened. Yeah. They're like, "We heard your sister's audition taping. We want to sign her up." And the old sister's like, "Oh my god, what?" And I'm just like, this is so fucking dumb. It cut to the bedroom where she's gone to her small sister's bedroom, and it's like, oh, she's been holding on this entire time. She's like got a list of like things I need to do to improve my health, and then another column, it's like things I want to do when I get my voice back. Ew. It's like, oh my god, she's never gonna get her voice back. This is my fault. Oh my god, what have I done? Oh my god. This goes on for like 5 minutes.
It does.
It's like, we get it. We get it. Like, this is a really impactful scene, but like you've drawn it out so much that it's like, well, like, you've lost me.
We start listening to like the audition tape, and she's like, I'm doing this for my sister. And it's just like, okay, we get it.
We get it. We get it. We get it. And it's like, okay, you want to have the audition tape play over as like that replaces the music? Okay, that's a really neat thing to do. But like, it just lasts for so long that it's like you're losing me. Like, like I already was kind of taken out of it because I made the joke and it was correct and it shouldn't have been correct. But then it was like, okay, but you know, this is still emotionally impactful. Like, they're doing a really good job of showing like the older sister like having a fucking breakdown of the guilt crushing her. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like, okay, now you're just doing all the cliched things to make it, like, all you need now is the little girl saying like, I'm never gonna lose my voice, I'm gonna sing forever, and my sister's gonna be able to see out of both her eyes forever. Like, that sort of like, okay, we get it. This is I think we get that the guilt is crushing her.
Okay, I have a gift for everybody. There you go. There's punished. There's punished.
Okay,
food.
They can't see that.
I know.
But okay, we then cut to the older sister being like, I'm gonna kill I'm assuming the people that signed her up, or like the bosses of this or whatever. They're like, I'm gonna go kill them. This is their fault for like misleading me and all of us. And then we hear the audition tape in the background, and it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then the fifth member of the band, Chunky Kong, sees her flying over and is like, no, stop. Don't kill them. Don't do this. Haha, you're so sexy. And the older sister's like, no, I want to do this. I fucked up. Like, they also fucked up. And then the protagonist is like, it's fine. Everything's fine. And then the little sister comes up behind her and hugs her. And it's like, what? There's no consequences or anything comes from this other than the older sister gets sad, and then it's like she feels guilty, but then it's like, it's okay, don't be sad. Okay.
I mean, she was having a breakdown. They cry for a bit. I don't know what you wanted them to do.
Something?
They comforted her. I don't know what else you want.
I don't know. It can't. I'll talk about it more when we get to like the end of the episode 12, when I feel like my thoughts on like, it feels like there's actually no consequence to anything out of the stuff that we've watched. But anyway, that's it for episode 9. She cries, has a breakdown, and everyone comforts her, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Also, they talk about like, let's go eat cake, which is hilarious because one of them can't even taste.
Well, they said eat. Let's go. I would have. Okay, I kind of would have loved. It would have been awful. like actually bad, but it would have been funny bad if they were like, let's go eat cake, and then like the protagonist, who's the one who lost her sense of taste, be like, guys, I lost my sense of cake. Can you be a little bit like, thoughtful? Sorry, sense of taste. Like, can you be at least like a little bit thoughtful and like think of me? And the fact, like, I've lost my sense of taste here. Do you guys not even think of me? And just everyone turning to her and being like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like, oh, boo-hoo, you can't taste a cake. Oh, poor boo-hoo. Rebecca over here can't fucking achieve her dreams anymore. Not like you want to be a culinary chef or anything, Susan.
I mean, you don't know. Anyway.
I don't even know what she wants.
Anyway, so, episode 12, last episode, actual, in show.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were in space, we're not. It's just a big old spaceship coming out of the time hole. Only Redhead and Wheelchair are here. The ship opens up and lets out some bomb demons. An older sister apparently got the shit kicked out of her. Wheelchair just wants to destroy the whole ass world, and Redhead is like, no. And then more and more fire demon things are shooting out the hole, and the fucking fighting and screaming about what's right and what's not, and how she doesn't want to protect the world if she can't even protect her friends. And then also one of the girls is massively apparently in the hospital? I don't know which girl it was. It doesn't really explain.
Wait, what?
There was a cut to like a girl like in a hospital, and she was like covered in bandages.
We'll get to that.
Oh, that was girl number 5, wasn't it?
I don't know. We'll get to that.
I don't know.
Anyway, Wheelchair does not want any fucking part of that shit. Pink gets like basically onto her magical girl ship thing that she's driving and just punches her in the face and then hugs her. And she's like, I'm not going to forget you. Don't worry about it. Listen, I really don't want to be forgotten, Redhead. And she's like, don't worry, I got you. But then there's a big old fucking explosion and the sun shows up. Like an actual sun. And then Redhead just decides to slap the sun away as best she can, but she fucking dies and probably loses her legs. I think she does, actually. And then sisters are back and ready to fight the sun, and then there's that new girl that also shows up. She's here, she fights the sun, and they put a giant fucking flower on the sun to push it away. Then Redhead does a scream, and she's also here to fight the sun, and her outfit goes away, and everything explodes. And then all the girls wake up on the ground, but Redhead doesn't. And they're like, ah! And then back in the real world, they're all super fucked up, and everyone is okay now. Apparently, Wheelchair can now walk for some reason, even though she couldn't before. It's fine. Younger sister can now speak too, which makes older sister cry. So I guess they're getting better, even though that didn't take Wheelchair's. We'll get to that. The other girl hangs out with older sister by the river, and they're like, we can't transform anymore. We're gonna have successors, hee hee. And then Redhead apparently still hasn't really woken up. Wait, no, she's awake, kind of. She's a vegetable, basically. She's not there mentally. Her body works, but she's not there. And then the girls argue about whose fault it is. And then the cultural festival. Call back to that. They're still going to do the original plan with the play, but ex-Wheelchair is like, I miss Redhead. And Redhead is just like not getting better. And ex-Wheelchair is very sad because she promised she would be there for her. What the fuck, Redhead? And then Redhead's like, I'm here for you. And she's like, oh my god. And then Redhead has now traded places with Wheelchair. And then they remake the fucking intro, kind of, but actually with a little bit more animation, this time on Wheelchair Girl. And then they keep walking more and go eat udon. And then they make the play at the culture festival of their puppets, but like it was the original play that they did with the puppets, but it was like them and it was for real. And then during the play, Redhead fucking faints, but everyone's like, good job. And that's it. That's all of it.
Yeah. Everyone is actually arguably better off than they were at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Yuki Yuna. I'm gonna fill you guys in on some things, and I'm gonna start by saying this was a novel, and there are a lot of novels, and the only piece of Yuki Yuna that I have experienced is this. I only know like vague things from the novels. There's a lot of prequel novels and shit. But so there's a lot that goes into this. obviously, this took a lot of inspiration from Madoka. And it's one of the only cases of magical girl series that came post Madoka that took inspiration from Madoka that I like. That, like, I feel did its own thing with, and built something, like, interesting with, like, a story that I enjoy and characters that I enjoy, because most of the takeaway are things like Magical Girl Raising Project, where it's like, you know, oh, the point of Madoka was that it was dark. Mm-hmm. And it's like, nope, that's okay.
Yeah.
But this took inspirations from Madoka, put its own thing, own twists on them, and kind of had it had its own ideas, and it based it on different things. So, like, Madoka is obviously, like, extremely, like, biblical and stuff. This is more based on, this has some biblical things, but it's more based on, like, the Shinto religion.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There is literature that it takes inspirations from, and I cannot remember what it is off the top of my head, because I haven't looked into Yuki Yuna as much as, like, Madoka or anything, right? Like, I've looked this stuff up before, but I don't remember it right now. Anyway, so the big thing I think that you guys missed with the episodes that I showed, I couldn't really do too much about, is, like, kind of the explanation of the thing they're fighting for, and, like, the world that they're in, and things like that, and the Taisha, like, what those are. So they're protecting, like, a god, right? And one of the things that's explained in the novels that I really actually didn't know about until I was literally looking shit up for this podcast, is that in one of the prequel novels, it is, like, stated that essentially, like, gods are in a war with each other, and there are gods that are trying to destroy this one who is trying to protect the world. There's only a section of the world which you guys also didn't get to see. Most things have been destroyed, but this god is protecting this, like, chunk of world. And other gods are trying to invade and take it out. The girls get picked to fight by the Taisha, which are, like, a kind of government, kind of, like, religious organization there just to protect the god, right? The girls find out, basically, that that they're sacrifices. So every time they go Mankai, they're sacrificing a part of themselves, and they are essentially immortal, they can't die, and whenever they fight so much that they can't be used anymore, new girls take over, and they're just kind of, like, taken to this place of worship to be worshipped as though they are gods, which is what that girl was that you guys saw, that Deer was like, there was the girl in the hospital. She was, like, in this place of worship. She was, like, one of the previous ones that they found out about. The reason Toga's legs get healed are because in the past, Toga was a part of a group. And that girl that was in the bandages was also a part of her group. I haven't read the prequel material to know what the fuck happened with Toga. Something happened where Toga only lost the use of her legs, and basically her memory got fucking wiped because she can't know the truth about being a hero if they want to reuse her in the future. But that's also, I'm assuming, why she's so, like, broken, because I mentioned she's, like, real fucking strong and she gets 3 fairies. I'm assuming it's because she had, like, a very high aptitude to, like, be a magical girl, so they wanted to reuse her later on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, but it also opens up more questions in my head. So it's like, okay. Mm-hmm. Am I getting this right in that you're saying that, like, in the past, she was a magical girl, then I don't know, something happened or whatever. She stopped being a magical girl, and they wiped her mind of it, or like
yes, yeah.
So that makes sense because like that otherwise I was gonna say, wait, so in the first episode, why do they act so surprised then that this is like not the sort of surprise like, oh my god, so and so's attacking, but more they act the surprise of like, what the fuck is happening? What is this?
Yeah, so there's the dialogue in episode 10 that meant absolutely nothing to you guys whenever Togo's like, it doesn't matter, we're just gonna forget. She's like, I don't even know why I'm crying, but all I can remember is that this shit sucks. But she, like, can't remember any specifics. She just knows, like, vaguely this was bad. And she's like, we're not gonna remember each other. Like, fuck this. And it's because she, at that point, she had learned, oh shit, I was actually a part of this beforehand. So, can I just say really quick, one of my favorite implications, by the way, because Togo is like, I've tried to commit suicide 10 times over the past 3 days, and the fairy saved me every time. And it's like, yeah, that was an experiment, but what the fuck was the first time? You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
she didn't really have anything to go off of to be like, yes, this is going to work. It was definitely just Togo was like, gonna try to kill myself, and then it was like, oh wait, they saved me in the human world? That's fucking weird. Let me try a bunch of different ways to see if it works every time. So that's just kind of like a little implication that's like, huh, weird. Anyway, yeah, so they basically find out like they're human sacrifices, the shit's not gonna go away, and they're going to be taken away to be worshipped as gods, because the god and the god's organizations, like, it's like, hey, you're being worshipped. Thanks for your sacrifices. But now you're like, I don't know, treated really well, but you're kind of fucked up, but whatever, it doesn't matter, because they're god, like, they're being worshipped as gods, and what could be better than that, right? Karen. Yeah, Karen, who is the...
I could think of a few.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure. Karen, who's the fifth girl, she appears in, like, episode 3. She's basically sent by her, like, whole fucking life is the Taisha, right? She like, fucking worships the Taisha and the Shinju, which is the god. And so she's sent, and she's, like... she's, like, kind of sent, I think, to keep control of the situation, which is why she fights Fu when Fu has her breakdown. Because she's like, you can't fucking go wreck the Taisha. Like, the Taisha are heroes. And then Fu's like, you're a fucking idiot if you believe that. Like, fuck you. You know, they're literally sacrificing us. And part of, like, the sadness of all of them, like, losing their things, because, yeah, it starts off really small, but they're all, like, aware, like, cool, we're all gonna, like, be sacrificed at some point. But Yuna, our pro-tag, is like, but we're saving the world, and that's more important, right? And Togo's like, no. And Togo's like, you know what? Fuck the world. If this is what it takes, if it takes people being sacrificed, and if I can't protect you guys, and this is, like, our fate, this world's fucked, and I'm going to, help destroy it. Whole big thing.
But then she doesn't.
Yeah, then Yuna punches her in the face and is like, bitch! Which, I just want to say really quick, because I kind of glossed over it. Fu's breakdown is like, I fucking love Fu's breakdown. I adore that scene.
I would have loved it if like, some of the lines in the audition tape, like,
I do.
Personally, I feel like that I'm doing this for my sister was a bit too much. Like, if they did just that, it would have been great. But it's like the 3 minutes beforehand of her crying after seeing, it's like, you either have one or the other. You don't have both. Yeah.
I do agree that her little speech went on too long. I do agree. Normally, when I watch the scene, I kind of skip over the little speech, because Itsuki's speech does go on a little too long. So I do agree with you there. There's a lot of really nice build-up to that scene in the series that you guys sadly didn't get to see. There's a lot of really good build-up to a lot of scenes that sadly you guys didn't get to see. But yeah, I do agree that, like, the part before the breakdown is a little bit too drawn out. Like, Itsuki needs to shut the fuck up a little bit. So
what are you wanting to say, dear?
Oh yeah, go ahead, dear. Sorry.
I was basically gonna say that, like, I think her breakdown does not involve listening to the speech. Like, it's what triggers it, but, like, her whole breakdown is, like, really good.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
The breakdown itself is really good. It's just, yeah, the thing's got, it's like, it is 100% that sort of thing of, like, she's having the breakdown, and then it starts playing the speech, and it's like, you don't need this. Like, if anything, it's kind of turning it to, like, almost comical. Like I said, it's like, it's almost turning it to comical, where it's like, now she's gonna say, like, my sister's gonna be able to see out of her left eye forever. It's like, like almost that comedy thing of, like, let's go full on over the top.
Yeah. I think after all that, when she's, like, running away, I literally went to the memory of, like, oh, I've had a panic attack, not a panic attack, but, like, a breakdown like that over my fucking body in the hospital, and so I know exactly what it's like to cry like that, and so I think it's really good that it's just ugly fucking crying in this show that's been, like, very, I'm gonna be very anime and sort of shit. Yeah. To have ugly fucking crying of just, like, snot dripping out of your nose screaming is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things I like, so, like, Fu and Togo take it the worst. Fu takes it like it's guilt, it's like sadness, it's like fuck this, fuck everything, whatever.
Yuna doesn't take shit.
Yeah, Togo is like, okay, no, I'm angry, fuck this. Itsuki has like the loosest sense of hope like ever, right? Like, it's so obvious that Itsuki is trying her best to be happy so that she doesn't upset Fu, because she doesn't want Fu to be like blame herself, right? So Itsuki's like acting happy, but she's not happy. You know what I mean? And it shows that in parts throughout. Karen has like that blind like I want to trust the Taisha type thing. Which slowly, from that point on, deteriorates to some degree. And then Yuna is like, I want to be a hero. Yuna's like, I the shit that's happening to us sucks, but, like, we're saving people. We're literally saving what's left of the world, and I want to continue to do that.
Yeah,
so she has
very
like determination. Yeah,
it's very much just juggling the whole trauma of like everything that's happening to you and coming to terms with the fact that you are just sacrificing yourself. That's all you are doing for the greater good, and you need to be on board with this. And if someone basically goes like, "Hey, I don't want to do this," then like you have to question: are you being a shitty person because of that or not? And like struggling with that.
And
I think my personal gripe is just that like there is that moment where Togo is like, fuck the world, like if this is what it takes, fuck it, I'm not gonna save it. And it's like they're having that element of like doubt in the system, doubt of the Taisha, but it feels like they're not having it because they want to explore it. They're just having it because like, hey, okay, this character is now, like, disillusioned after, like, their history with it and the pain that they've personally gone through and seen others go through. They're done with it, and then it's like, okay, but we need them to get back to saving the day and being happy now, so literally punch her out of it, everything's fine. It's like, I kind of wish, like, it's like that sort of thing of, like, we need to kill the Taisha, like, the Taisha have done this to us. What are you talking about? The Taisha are great, they've saved us. Like, I wish it was more ambiguous, like, with, like, hey, I guess I just wish the characters were more ambiguous towards the system that they're in.
Yeah.
Like, instead of, like, having moments of, like, hey, this system's kind of fucked up, can we not support it? And it's like, no, we need to support it. The system's good, let's support it, let's keep going with it. Okay.
Well, the issue, like, I think the issue with that, right, is if they don't support the system, literally the world's gonna end. So
that's what I'm saying. What do you do? It's
like,
having to juggle that and just like deal with the fact that like everything is on your shoulders.
Yeah, and there are like several episodes of Togo like fuck this prior to episode 12 when Yuna, and honestly, if it wasn't Yuna, Togo would have never changed her mind. Togo is she's a little bit gay for Yuna, if we're being honest.
Shocking.
The long black-haired one is in Lesbians with the pink-haired one?
Yeah, hee. Like I said, it definitely takes things from Madoka, but yeah.
I guess for me it's like it is that thing of like I kind of was joking, being like, oh, so they're actually better off at the end than they were at the beginning, because like A, they're all alive, and B, like Toga can walk.
Yeah.
Like she's out. So like kind of like on the surface, it's like they're kind of better off than they were in the beginning. It's like, yeah, they have the mental scars and trauma of what they've been through, but it's
We'll
like,
talk
hey, it's
about
not
the
over.
ending
It's still going.
Yeah.
But it's like, it feels like there weren't really any. It's like, okay, you have this sort of. It's like, okay, they have the mental consequences, but it feels like the show doesn't want to talk. Like, it doesn't want to lean on it. It wants to just acknowledge that they exist, but it's not wanting to focus on it in a sense. It's like, everything's fine. Like, yeah, sure, they, things are kind of shitty with them, with like trauma and anything, but everything's fine at the end of the day. There's no real consequences, like, because everything's fine. Like, yeah, this is pretty bad, but like, don't focus on that. We're all alive. Like, we're struggling, but at the end of the day, it's all for the world. Look, they're all clapping for us. Like, we're falling down, but we pick each other up and we save the day still. And it's like,
so
I don't know.
So the ending, I love the ending of Yuki Yuna. It's very... Things that happen in it are very subtle, and there's a reason why it's called Yuki Yuna as a hero, specifically, right? And that's because the implications at the end are that the hero system has been changed, and Yuna has taken on being a hero by herself.
Yeah.
So, at the end, the reason she collapses, and there's, because, like, obviously, like, time kind of slows down, and at one point, there's a sound cue, and it, like, it implies, like, time has frozen for just a second, but we're not in Yuna's point of view anymore, we're in Togo's point of view at this point.
Yeah.
So, and then Yuna comes back and collapses, right?
So the idea is that she went and fought something?
Yes. So the implication is basically she has made some kind of deal, because obviously the hero system was flawed. Togo literally almost destroyed the fucking world. Fu had her breakdown. All of the shit fucking happened. Shit's happened in the past. So Yuna's basically like, I will be the hero.
Yeah.
Just fix my friends. Like, fix the people who this has harmed before. And it shows, like, the girl who was wrapped in bandages also standing up at the end. So, Yuna, kind of pulls a Madoka.
I was going to say, she's kind of turning into, I was going to say Hamura, actually, but without going psychotic about it.
Well, Hamura does it for selfish reasons.
I know, I'm saying, like, she's kind of being Hamura, but in a good way. Like, not in a selfish...
She's definitely, Yuna's definitely the Madoka character.
I was gonna say, Madoka is kind of a more extreme version of what I'm thinking of. Like, Hamura is very much like, I'm going to just take this on myself sort of thing. And in my brain, Madoka's like, I'm just going to become a god and fix shit. Instead of, being the hero.
It's the same type of thing, though, right? So...
Fair.
Yuki Yuna still, like, that fills that role where it's like, I'm going to take on the burdens of everyone. I'm going to be the one fighting this. It's just, like, a more mild form, right? Because Yuki Yuna wasn't trying to be Madoka, and it wasn't trying to outdo it. It was just trying to be, like, its own thing with inspirations from it. And that's what I like about it. Because I feel like... First off, a ton of people watched Yuki Yuna, and they were like, this is just a Madoka ripoff. And it's like, no, like, it took it took inspirations from Madoka. It's obvious.
Like, I joke about the long black-haired one being in love.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that you can really point to and be like, is this just Madoka? Like, even then it's like, no, that's a stretch and a half.
Yeah, I mean, there are other things
this is very clearly not Madoka.
Yeah, there are other things you can point at, but it's like inspirations, right? It's not a ripoff. It's
there's no meat to it.
Yeah,
it's just people wanting to say that it's a ripoff.
Right. So it's like it's basically like the person who made this watched Madoka, was like, this is neat, but I have my own thoughts and own ideas, and like, what if this happened, and what if it was this, and what if it was this, and it made this, and it's like, hey, I think they did a pretty good job. Like, it's not as good as Madoka, but it's different than Madoka, and I think it did a good job overall.
Yeah, I feel like the main difference between the two, without, visual or stylistic differences, the main difference to me, that which is like why I like Madoka but why I don't like this, is that even though we only watched 3 episodes out of it, it feels like there's not a consistent single focus of like, not message but like point to the story. It kind of feels like it's floating between a few different things of like, this is what it's about, and like, the little bits of this and little bits of this, but like, here and there, it doesn't feel like one sort of focused sort of story about, a single journey with others that you follow, or, a story about sacrifice itself. Like, if all the episodes focused on, that sacrifice of, well, we've lost our sense of taste, like, if that was the entire through line of like them dealing with the fallout of this, which it's very clear that there are more bits of them dealing with this throughout, everyday life and also just in general, but it feels like sort of an afterthought, in a sense of like this isn't what the story's about, but like, because it's a consequence of the story that we're telling, we're not gonna just, drop it and move on. It's like, no, we kind of need to like explore how these characters deal a little bit with what's happening to them, but like it feels more like they're kind of taking a side but also kind of trying to fit it in with the main story. Is like, it doesn't flow the same to me.
That makes sense. The way I look at Yuki Yuna too, Madoka is very obviously a story-driven show, right? Like, the characters are really well done, but overall Madoka's story is the point. I think Yuki Yuna's more characters are the point, not so much story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, question. I'm wanting to be as charitable as I can, but also Yuki Yuna herself is worse than like early Madoka character wise for me. It's like, who is she? Like, or the only thing about her character that I saw was like, she's lost her taste and she's just that generic wants to fight for her friends sort of thing. Is there more to her in other episodes that isn't just like, well, I want to fight because, I love my friends, or, I want it, like, saving the world is a good thing,
Yeah.
Or, like, I was brought up to be nice. Is there actually something to her?
Yeah, no, there is. I guess,
like, even the small blonde sister, it's like there wasn't really much to her, but then she lost her voice, and it's like, okay, there's that very clear hint that you can see of like, oh, she's struggling to hold on, and she's not holding on for herself. She's very clearly holding on for someone else.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this is a really interesting like angle for a character. We didn't get to see it clearly because it's like, seems like it's in other episodes that we missed more so.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, there's something interesting to her. But it's like, Yuki Yuna, we didn't really get to see anything with her.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, is there actually something to her?
Yeah, no, I mean, so her role is definitely like, she's the glue of the group, right? Like, she's there to support everyone, to keep everyone together. But there is more to her, because like there's an episode where Yuna and Togo like go and visit the girl who's in the bandages because they find out about her. And there's like a lot of struggle there with Yuna. It's just that Yuna sees it more because Yuna and Togo are kind of by the end, Yuna
diametrically opposed.
Yeah, they're like the focus, right? So the difference being that Yuna is like, but the we still need to fight because there are a ton of people who don't know what's going on, and it wouldn't be right to sacrifice them. Whereas Togo's like, but if I can't save you guys, then I want to destroy everything. But there are the struggles leading up to that point. It's just the two of them coming to like opposite standpoints, and Yuna's still trying to be like the strong one, right? Like she's like because at the beginning it kind of establishes like Fu is the dependable strong one, but that's not the case at all, and it's more so Yuna. There is more to her. I would say the most interesting character though is Togo.
Togo feels like the most, like there's more.
Yeah, I would say Togo's the most interesting. Fu's probably the second most interesting. And then third place is probably like a tie with Yuna and Karen. Maybe it depends, right? The first time I watched it, I was kind of like, I didn't dislike Karen, but I thought there was less to her. But then the more, like, I've watched it a few times, and I'm like, no, actually, Karen's like good, because it's like I hate that her name is blind... Karen. Yeah,
I try to ignore that her name is Karen because like that is the least magical girl name ever.
Yeah, it's
Karen.
Yeah, well, yeah, but anyway, Karen has really, really good scenes we didn't get to see. Like I said, there's like one episode where she goes Monkai like multiple times in a row because of her like blind trust in like the Taisha, and she like believes she is doing the right thing, and then she gets like super fucked because of it.
She loses her ability to speak French.
Yeah, no, Karen loses like literally control of like all of her limbs except maybe one, and she loses like her vision.
I was still fucking waiting for the goddamn character to lose control of their bowels or some shit.
Yeah. Just start shitting everywhere. But yeah, no, I don't know. There is definitely more to Yuna, but she's not as diverse as Togo, for sure. But that's just because of her role. I mean, like I said, there are moments, but she's like the backbone of the group, and she's like the determined, like I want to save people type character. Which I think is fine. Like, I think having, like, that sense of justice is fine. And I think it builds up nicely to the ending of her being like, well, I'll take on all of the roles by myself. You know, just save them.
I think it's fine, but it's the sort of thing, like, it's fine so long as the ensemble cast makes up for it, which I feel like it does, but it has that side effect of, okay, but now the main character is the least interesting character out of all of them. Because it's like, okay, I get this character. Like, they're a staple character. It's like, I get their entire thing because it's the sort of generic, like, I will take on all the responsibility. I will do this. I am the pillar of, no, we must choose to live. We must fight. We must save the world. Like, there's no real, like, hey, the main character's questioning things. Like, hey, maybe our main character is... It's like, no, we need the main character to be the rod that holds things together.
Yeah.
And we'll have all the interesting things of, like, characters falling from grace and, you know, saying, hey, maybe fuck the world. That goes to the more interesting side characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, she has her moments of doubts. It's just that in the end, she comes to this resolution of, like... And yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't say Yuna's the least interesting. I would say that goes to Itsuki. I guess we could disagree there.
No, well, I just mean from what I've seen.
Yeah,
like it seems clear that like even like if I'm basing it just on what I've seen, it feels like Yuna's the least interesting. But it also feels like the things that I've seen of Small Blonde Sister are the only interesting things about her. And like, if you're saying that there are more interesting things about Yuna, then yeah, Yuna's going to be more interesting.
I think, see, Togo and Fu are my favorite characters, so I did kind of pick episodes that
I understand and completely agree with, because like they have a lot of range with what they feel and go through. It's just like, for me, it's just like Yuna, like Yuna has those doubts, but it's like
Yeah.
not when there are consequences for having those doubts. Like,
yeah, I'm trying
it's just...
to think.
Like, it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, she suddenly is, like, she has a split second of, like, hey, maybe Togo's right, and, like, the Taisha are bad, and then, oh, shit, because she, like, took that split second to think, like, suddenly, like, someone's fucking dead, or, like,
Yeah.
oh, God, the god has, like, taken out the school or something, or, like, we've lost, like, there are consequences
Yeah, I want
for
to...
the, like, that doubt.
Yeah, I want to say that the episode that Karen goes Monkai, like, multiple times in a row, and I didn't get to rewatch this entire series before podcast. I watched a good chunk of it, and then I watched, like, another chunk of it. I didn't get to watch a few episodes in the middle. But I want to say the reason Karen goes Monkai multiple times in a row is because no one else can. Because their abilities have to do with your, like, your willpower to fight. So I think that actually does happen. I think that's the reason Karen gets, like, super fucked. Is because, like, everyone else is in doubt.
Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't happen as much. But also, like, I'm kind of glad in a way it doesn't. Because I feel like we would start leaning a little bit too into Madoka at that point.
It does lean more, it does, like, make the tightrope a lot more thinner of, like, okay, you need to be really careful you don't edge into Madoka territory here.
Right.
But it's also, like, it doesn't... It's the sort of thing of, like, having consequences for doubts does not instantly mean it's Madoka. But having the same consequences as Madoka, and, like, not, like, just having them because it's like, well, this is basically what it would be. It's like, you know, the sort of thing of, like, oh, we've done this, and now, like, the sort of thing of, like, oh, now our leaders, because I had doubts, our leader's dead or whatever, or, like, something like that. It's like that's something you could do, but you shouldn't, because then it's Madoka.
Right.
It's literally just Madoka. It's like, you need to think outside the box. You need to think of something that fits your theme and fits what you're going for and fits your story. Like, maybe like, go, like, hey, the reason why all of these sacrifices are now permanent is, like, the Taisha are punishing us. Like, they control when things come back, or something like that. Like, they're punishing us for doubting them. Like, something to, like, that isn't, like, overtly, like, you know, X character dies or X loop happens, but, like, something that runs with the theme of what you're wanting to talk about and what you're wanting to have this story.
Does kind of work though, right? Because the whole point is the idea of sacrifices and offerings with the Shinto religion, and that's what they're doing. They're, like, offering themselves indirectly.
But they get everything back.
But that's because of Yuna's sacrifice, and I think that works with Yuna's character.
But she also comes back.
But she's still fighting. The ending isn't, like, a solid ending. Like, the ending is she is still fighting.
Yeah. She's still gonna very much a, like...
Yeah, she's probably going to consistently get fucked up and, like, kind of brought back.
Okay. So the show as it is, not the show as we want it to be. Gam, what did you think of it? I'm curious. I'm actually curious.
I'll say both, but only write down what it is.
Okay, hold on.
So if I end up, don't, you know, the whole joke of asterisks and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if I did watch all of it, it would probably be maybe a 6 or a 7. But based on what we have and how I feel about it, probably a 3 or a 4. It's like, it's okay, but I don't really care.
Okay, dear.
8. I enjoyed quite a good chunk of it. I might share it with Max. He's not really into the magical girl shit, but, like, we'll see. But little things bothered me, which is why it's not, like, higher, like, because I think it's very good. I just like the speech going on for too long and being, like, almost comical, for example, is just like, okay, pull it back, like, a little bit, guys. Like, you're trying too hard now. So
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I didn't give it a 10.
Yeah. So I'm at like an 8 for about the same reasons as you, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I don't know. I also guess I don't dislike the character of Yuna like Yam does either.
I don't think
it's not that I dislike her, it's just that I don't really have any reason to like her.
See,
it's just, okay, she's the generic protagonist in a magical girl show about sacrifice. I got it.
I like her, but that could just be, I mean, I'm the only one that's seen the show, and that's probably a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I might be a little bit less indifferent towards her if I watch more, but I don't think I would end up liking her. I think I would just be like, okay, I'm a little bit more lenient. Like, I get it. I'm still a little bit indifferent, but like, I don't hate her.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It's like, yep, she makes sense within the story, but based on what we saw, it's like she is. I disregard her in my mind because it's like the show's named after her, but it's not about her.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah. No,
even though it is.
Is it?
But it isn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that in the context of watching all of it, it is a lot different, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying, especially without seeing it all, like makes sense, right? And obviously there's like that layer of I like magical girl things and seeing things like this also is going to affect my opinion. Like if I didn't like magical girl things and I watched this, I'd probably give it like an 8, maybe probably like an 8. I'd probably still rank it pretty high. But
I think it's also a problem for me is like because I know we're only seeing a few episodes from it. It annoyed me a lot more when scenes would just kind of drag.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you were kind of wasting time right now. Like, you could be, like, not filling it with, like, exposition, like, so many things happening, but, like, you could have meaningful things happening instead of just, like, we're stretching out this scene for just a little bit longer than it really needs to be. It's like, I feel like you kind of... Wait, like, this could be tighter.
Also, but also with, like, scenes like the Itsuki, or Fu's breakdown, right? The series had been building up to that all the way to that point, and that was episode 9. So it, like, that felt like, when I saw it, a lot of payoff. Now, like I said, I do think Itsuki's speech goes on a little bit too long, but it didn't really bother me when I watched it. Because it was like, I had been waiting for that moment, you know? It's like, we knew it was coming, when's it going to happen? Okay, here's the payoff we're getting. And I love that scene. But I totally get it with also not having that build up. It would be like, what the fuck for a lot of the scenes. I do get that.
Like I said, I'm completely fine with that scene. I think that scene is great. But it is a case of like you either have the long breakdown with the speech, or you have the speech and then the long breakdown. You don't have the long breakdown and then the speech and then continue the breakdown. You that's too much. Like that's it's like not a this only needs to be 30 seconds long. Like no, make it 3 minutes, but like make those 3 minutes count. Don't be like everything but the kitchen sink in this breakdown.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I disagree. Like, I 100%...
How dare you?
Yeah, no, I 100% understand exactly what you're saying, I just don't personally agree with it. So...
How dare you?
Yeah.
And
Gam and I are no longer friends.
Everybody.
I'm fucking leaving.
Spooky, we are now going to be transitioning into...
Next week... Spooky will be replaced by a Vocaloid of the audience's choice.
I'm going with Spooky. What the fuck are you doing, Gam? I'm going with Spooky. I'm gonna go hang out and watch anime.
Okay, Dia and Spooky will be replaced... Actually, I don't want to be a part of this anymore if y'all aren't. So all three of us will be replaced by Vocaloids in the next anime podcast episode.
Yeah, we're gonna shittily program them with like some AI technology, so...
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll just let my cat run across the keyboard and he'll write the anime speech that we'll all say.
Good.
Yep. Okay, well, see you never again. Bye.
Bye, fuckers.
See you next week when we watch Futurama.